You know, the UK's belated release schedule for certain films can be pretty annoying, especially when it comes to something like Babylon. Not only could 2022 have featured new films from all three of my favourite directors, but most vocal Americans on Twitter didn't seem to be looking forward to this when it came out in December for them, whilst I've had to spend an extra month hyped out of my mind for this movie. Whiplash and La La Land are not only two of my all-time favourites, but the latter is essentially what kickstarted my appreciation for film into what it is today. So, unsurprisingly, Damien Chazelle is a pretty special filmmaker to me, and while I did like First Man quite a bit, Babylon felt much more exciting with the trailer featuring the jazzy energy I love about the work he wrote as well as directed. I wasn't bothered by the fact the marketing didn't really sell a story like some others were. Chazelle's name and the promise of sheer craziness was more than enough to sell it to me. And the divisive reactions it received made it all the more intriguing for me to see where I landed on that spectrum, although of course I hoped it would be amazing. So, what did I think of it? Well, the marketing sold a very different film to the one Babylon actually is. There was a lot of emphasis on these party scenes, which only really make up about an eighth of the whole thing, 2/8 at a stretch. And instead of being a holy crap this is crazy spectacle, the opening party feels effectively uncomfortable in the sense of shock and, dare I say, claustrophobia it instills with those long takes. And the later one with Tobey Maguire, holy crap. As for the rest of the movie, well, it's gonna take a lot of processing before I reach my final thoughts on it, because there is a lot to unpack in this 3-hour experience, of course, but overall, I really enjoyed it. It's not on the same level as Whiplash and La La Land for me. Certain elements and character arcs feel a little underdeveloped despite the running time, but this is an incredibly entertaining showcase of this period in film history whilst developing into something altogether more melancholy by the end. First though, some general points. The performances are great and Justin Hurwitz's score is wonderful, fitting the awesome energy of the camera work effortlessly and thus contributing a huge amount to the atmosphere of this thing. The sections focused on the chaotic makings of were extremely entertaining to watch. The cross-cutting between the silent films being filmed worked incredibly well, and the scene focused on shooting the talkie got increasingly funnier the further it escalated. Heck, in general, this is just a really funny film a lot of the time. And for as long as it is, it does flow really nicely both from a narrative and pacing perspective. There's only really one stretch I wasn't as interested in as the rest, but outside of that, the interesting characters held my attention all the way through. And the deeper in it got, the more I became interested in what it was actually trying to be about. And I'll need a lot of time to read up and think about it, but for now, what I took away from Babylon is that despite questioning if the blood, sweat and tears poured into making a movie is worth it in the end products and the glitz and glamour of the movie industry bamboozle us away from the hell it took to build it. It's summed up early on with the elephant being used as a distraction to remove the overdosed girl from the party. It's a spectacle that distracts from the darker side of the business. And yet, a lot of the characters get caught up in the allure of stardom and grandeur and wind up facilitating or getting screwed over by the depravity of the time. Before doing any reading up on the movie, there was no doubt in my mind that the ending isn't meant to be a happy one. And it is kind of ironic that La La Land is the movie that inspired me to make movies, and Babylon is one making me question if making my first one and any others afterwards is worth it. Let's talk about that ending for a moment without giving it away, especially as Whiplash and La La Land have two of, if not the best endings I've ever seen in a movie. I love a lot of it, in particular the setup, then it goes in a direction I'm not so sure about, and then the final minute is insane sensory overload. It honestly left me in a daze that took me a good moment to snap out of before leaving. It's really crazy. It feels as though Damien Chazelle made this movie as if he or anyone else would never get to make another again. And honestly, I really admire him for that. Babylon is a really interesting film, and the sadness purveying through a lot of the last third is really gonna stick with me for a while. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I shall see you all next time. Goodbye!